what up, YouTubers? It's your boy, the Visionary. Welcome to another episode of Firesidechats, Rants. I am currently listening to the radio, which I haven't done in a while. And in radio, the format itself, it's, very interesting, you know what I mean? Like, I think people are more or less programmed, they're more or less programmed to, I would say, they're more programmed to be more receptive to new forms of media, like the internet, specifically internet and TV, but more or less the internet. And listening to the radio gives you a very alternative perspective or feel for the type of information you're getting in, because I haven't listened to radio in years, and I'm listening to it, and it's almost the same sort of left-right illusionary paradigm that they try to get you stuck in. So you hear the same propaganda going back and forth between the Republicans and Democrats, and more or less I'm listening to a conservative or neoconservative libertarian sort of channel, and the big debate is discussion about the Obama healthcare bill, and it's about to get passed within the next 5 days, and that's when it goes into law. And if you don't have it, and blah blah blah, so that's the big thing. And this guy named Harry Reid, he tried to filibuster the whole thing. He spoke for 21 hours. And side note, that's amazing that any person can talk for 21 hours. That is crazy. I've never heard of anything like that happening in my life. I've heard from people, in Congress and Senate, they rant, when they go up there and they rant for a while. But other than that, that's bloody crazy. So yeah, you hear the back and forth, and I'm listening to the channels, and more or less, it's interesting that you get more of a clear picture of what's going on around the world, because but radio in and of itself, strangely enough, gives you a clear picture of what's going on, period. And even though I'm listening to a more liberal, neoconservative type of station, you hear funny things like there's a report of Interpol's called Interpol's Most Wanted. UN Interpol Most Wanted, and an APP is put out for a terrorist named the White Widow, and they named her, it's a white woman, white chick, who was responsible for planning bombings of some of places in Kenya, which is kind of funny because there was a recent mall shooting in Kenya. Which again is more amazing because there's a parallel that there was a shooting here in New York City on Roosevelt Field in Staten Island, or Long Island actually, believe it or not. And I kind of find these random incidents just bloody random. Like I can't really process it, more or less, because it's like you go back to the September 11th situation, planes fly into the building, the city reacts, and the political leadership goes into action, and they try to figure out what's going on, and they put all these laws and implement new policies. And the funny thing is that when they do the reports on September 11th, when they do the investigations, and they go, oh well, we were doing drills literally that day, and that's the reason why NORAD and all these different systems that we have put in place to prevent such a thing from happening, these systems were stepped down. And the thing, what's funny is that Condoleezza Rice, I think when we were she was being investigated, and she was asked, like, yo, was it hypothesized that something like this could happen, or that particular scenario? And she flat out goes, no, like, we never, that's just something so random, we had never ever thought or considered something like that ever happening. And then it turns out that we've had scenarios where terrorists hijack planes and fly them into some sort of high value target, aka the Twin Towers and so on and so forth. And what makes it interesting is that you see this, right? You see, September 11th happens, and they do the commission report, and they reveal all these little things like the stand down orders, and the fact that they were doing, aka the drills, and I'm going to do another video on that another time, but the drills, they were doing drills on exactly the same type of scenario, and yet amazingly, on the exact same day, and that event actually happens. So once that happens, you look at the parallel where Britain, the UK, had a similar situation called the 7/7 train bombing event. Same shit. The UK government and the MI6 were planning, drills where what would happen if the terrorists tried to bomb the train station and cause mass terror and pain and suffering and all that stuff. And lo and behold, on the exact same day, the exact same event or situation occurs, and boom, it happens. And now all of a sudden they start passing draconian laws in the UK similar to what's happening over here. And I find that kind of funny. Now you fast forward to what's happening today, and I'm looking at the Kenya situation. It's just random. It's like, oh, militants just ran up into a Kenyan mall and started shooting people up and all that other stuff. And then all of a sudden, a week or so later, a random Asian dude goes into the Roosevelt Field Mall, and by the way, I used to work there. I used to work at Abercrombie Fitch as a assistant stockroom manager and so on and so forth. So he goes in and shoots up. He goes into, I guess, a business that he was doing, a company that he was doing business with, and he shoots up an owner of the company, and he wounds someone else there. He shoots up the place, and he just bounces and leaves. And there's APB put out on him. They know who he is, and they're trying to find him and all this other stuff. And I kind of find it funny that whenever something happens, there's always a mirror or a parallel to that happens like no more than 2 weeks later. And I kind of find that very odd that shit like that happens. And I guess it's not really a rant. It's just an observation I've noticed, and it's very interesting. So keep your eyes peeled and stay tuned. Peace.